I want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. When did Mount Moriah become Mount Zion? Now, Mount Moriah is that famous place, particularly in the Old Testament, where we know as the Abrahamic sacrifice of Isaac. David's involved in there. Mount Zion is the place today, just on the south side of the Temple Mount, where the Bible prophesies in Zechariah specifically that Jesus Christ will one day physically return to earth. The big question is, when did it go from one name to the next? And this is where we get a little bit of discrepancy. I've been to the Holy Land numerous times. The majority of people believe that the current day Mount Zion on the south side of the Temple Mount is the same Mount Moriah of days gone by. That is why, put up with me for just a moment, that is why the Temple Mount, it's all in the same area. That is why the Muslims hold it so sacred, because they believe that the rock that Abraham sacrificed, in their opinion, Ishmael, is right there in the middle of the Temple Mount. Now, we know, biblically speaking, it was actually Isaac, and technically speaking, it would have been about 200 feet below the current day ground level because of all the civilizations that have come and gone. Now, there are some people who would claim that the real Mount Moriah is actually a little ways away from there. Nonetheless, here's the important part. Mount Moriah was critical to the initiation of the Abrahamic covenant with Abraham and Isaac, Genesis 22. Mount Zion is critical to the return of Jesus Christ. They're all connected. Now, as far as when did it go from being one to being the next, well, truly, you get to the end of the Old Testament in the book of Malachi. It talks about in chapter 4 about Mount Zion and Mount Sion. Now, here's where Bible versions get really interesting. Most of your Bible versions use Mount Zion with a Z. But in the book of Hebrews and other places, what we know as the King James Version talks about a Mount Sion with an S, that is the heavenly mountain, and Mount Zion with a Z, which is the earthly mountain. So at the end of the day, when did the name shift? Well, over time from the Old to the New Testament, I can't give you a hard and fast date. Moriah is associated with Abraham. Zion is associated with Jesus. Great question. If you have one, send to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thank you so much for being a part of our daily question here at the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. I want to encourage you on a few things. Number one, if you have a question to ask, submit it to AskJeff.net. Eventually, we'll get around to your question. Secondly, we'd encourage you to subscribe. That way, each and every day, Monday through Friday, you get a reminder of our question of the day. And last but not least, I want to remind you that on Wednesday evenings, live at First Baptist Church of Opelika, fbcopelika.com, we do a solid hour of Ask Jeff where we dig into the questions more than just 60 or 90 seconds. Sometimes we take the entire hour. All that being said, AskJeff.net is where you submit a question to this channel each and every day, Monday through Friday.